Hi everyone, Patrick here. Today's topic is about linguistics. I'm going to talk about two theories that gave shape to the modern linguistics. These are the theories of generative grammar by Chomsky and structural linguistics by Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, without further ado, let's dive to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, people, so this is the topic for today, structural linguistics and generative grammar. This material is taken from this book, Linguistics for Everyone, an introduction published in 2013 by Wordsworth and written by those two writers. Okay, now let me start with the structural linguistics, and it was proposed by Ferdinand de Saussure, a French linguist. In principle, he states that language is a structural system. That's the first principle in structural linguistics. And there are three key elements in language, which is the sign. Sign is actually an object or concept in our life, in the world. And then you have the signifier. Signifier is the spoken or written forms. Everything that we do with language, either spoken or written, that's signifier. And signify is the mental concept that emerges in the mind, in our mind, as soon as the sign and the signifier are linked or are connected or are related. So these three elements make up what is called the structure of language, according to structural linguistics by Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay. Now let me give you a visualization, which makes it easier for you to see the principle. So you have the sign here, that object, yeah, the red object with a leaf, yeah, that's the object, that's the sign. And then you have the signifier. Signifier is actually the physical existence of sound, yeah, or image or the written form, things that we produce through language. Yeah, so if I say apple, and then you have bread, leaf, round, yeah, those are the signifiers. Those are the things that are produced through language in order to refer to the sign, to that sign above, yeah, that object. Okay, and then you have the signified. Signified is our mental concept, the concept that emerges in our mind as soon as we hear the word apple. So you have the utterance, apple, and then you have the object itself, the apple itself, and then you have the signified, the thing or the image that comes up in your mind as soon as the signifier, the sound apple, is related to the sign. Okay, so you have sign, signifier that you produce through language, and signified is the mental concept that comes up in your mind. Okay, yeah. Now, still, another thing about structural linguistics is Ferdinand de Saussure differentiates langue and parole. Yeah, langue is actually the organizing principles of science in the mind. So it's actually the knowledge of language in our mind. That's called langue. Yeah. And then parole is the use of such organizing principles in the actual speech or writing. Okay, so langue and parole. Parole is the actual use of language, the actual use of the organizing principles, and langue is the knowledge of language principles in our mind. Okay, now the second one, this is another figure that gave shapes to the modern linguistics, is Noam Chomsky. In the 1960s, he published a work which then is called generative grammar. It's a theory that he proposed. It's called generative grammar. Generative grammar is a set of finite rules. Look at the word finite there, it's very important. A set of finite rules in the mind that are capable of generating many utterances and sentences by humans. Look at the word finite rules and generating here. It's a set of finite rules. Finite means limited number, right? And generating, those limited rules are able or are capable of generating or producing many utterances and sentences by humans. That is the principle of generative grammar, and that's why it's called generative, because it really generates utterances or sentences. Yeah. So, for example, from this pattern, subject plus verb, we can produce we study, they eat, cats fight, and many more utterances like this. Yeah. So, just based on this um, rule, we can produce millions of utterances and sentences like this. Yeah. Another pattern is WH word plus auxiliary plus subject plus verb. Based only on this rule, we can say, why are you laughing? Where did they go? Etc. etc. Many more. You can produce many more questions using only this rule. So the number of the rules is limited, finite, but it enables us to generate, to produce many sentences, many utterances. That's the power of generative grammar. Okay, that's the power of our mind actually. Yeah. Still about generative grammar, um, Chomsky differentiates between linguistic competence and linguistic performance. Linguistic competence is the knowledge of grammar in the mind. In linguistic performance, is the actual use of that knowledge in speaking and writing. So as I'm speaking now, it's my linguistic performance. It's my actual use of the rules of language in my speech, in producing speech. It's linguistic performance. Linguistic competence is something that you cannot see because it's very abstract. It is the knowledge of grammar, the abstract knowledge of grammar that resides in the mind. And that enables us to produce or to make linguistic performance. Linguistic performance itself is the actual use of that rules in order to produce speech or written form. Okay. Now in modern linguistics, you will see that Chomsky idea is now being renewed. Yeah, and so you have more generative linguistics, but also you have in the modern linguistics, we also have non-generative linguistics. These are the people who do not believe in Chomsky. So they propose another idea. It's called cognitive grammar and functional grammar. And we are going to talk about cognitive grammar later in my episode. Okay? Okay, so keep calm and learn languages. Stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.